Hello everyone. Today we are going to discuss one of the very important concept in the field of cost and management accounting is marginal costing. Marginal costing is mainly used for the purpose of decision making. So this concept will be covered in various parts in my various videos. So first we will cover up the theoretical part, then slowly we will move on to the technical aspects. Very important concept in which there is no role of debit and credit. Very interesting also. So let us start the concept. This is a brief introduction about myself. Now, before understanding the concept of marginal cost, it is very important for us to know what exactly is cost. But one thing we have to keep in your mind is that we have to define the concept of cost from the point of view of a manufacturer rather than a consumer. So, how manufacturer will define a cost? Manufacturer will always try to define a cost nothing but as an expenditure or the amount that he spent to produce a particular product. Then he will add some margin and try to earn something by selling the product in the market. So for a manufacturer, cost is nothing but the amount that is spent for the purpose of producing a particular product. Now what exactly is marginal cost? Now before understanding marginal costing, it is important to know what exactly are the various categories of cost are there. For this chapter, two major categories of cost is important. One is variable cost and another is fixed cost. So in my previous videos also I have discussed about this concept. So I will not going in detail about this too. So slowly I will read the main important parts, then we will move on to the main concept. Now let us see what exactly is variable cost. Now for understanding the variable cost, let us consider one example. This is an example of a manufacturing unit where X represents the unit that has been produced and Y represents the cost. Now these are the units that has been given in various levels. So in level 1, if we consider it as a level 1, when 100 units are produced, total cost stands at rupees 400. When 200 units are produced, total cost stands at rupees 800. When it is 300, total cost is 1200. When production comes down to 50 only, the total cost is also 200. Now if we try to analyze a pattern in various level of production, we can observe that when production increases from 100 to 200 units, the percentage increase in terms of production has been found in terms of percentage is 100%. Now what about the cost? In terms of cost also we can see there is an exactly 100% increases happen. Now when production jumps from 200 to 300 units, it increases by 50%. What about the cost? Cost is also exactly increases by 50%. Now what happened when production comes down? Or manufacturing unit decided to cut down its production from 300 to 50 units only. The production comes down by 83.33%. What about the cost? The cost also exactly comes down to 83.33%. So here we can understand that it is a kind of cost which vary exactly in the same proportion with the level of production. If production increases, it also increases. If production decreases, it also decreases. So it moves proportionately. If I define it in a more better way, it moves exactly in the same proportionate way the level of production moves. So how we can identify whether or not a cost is fixed or variable cost? Very simple technique we can apply here. First we need to identify what is the total cost. So let us consider the level 1 here. Total cost is 400 and the units is 100. So if we divide this, the per unit cost comes at 400. Similarly, in case of level 2 also we can see the total cost comes at rupees 4 only. In level 3 also the total cost again coming at 4 only. So this is one of the basic feature of variable cost, is that variable cost always remain fixed in per unit. If we have given any example in terms of units and total cost, we can easily identify this by applying a very simple trick here, whether or not a cost is variable or not. So what we have learned, variable cost is a kind of cost which increases in the same way or same proportionate, and it has direct relation with the level of production. One of the unique feature of variable cost is that it remains fixed in terms of per unit. Now let us move to the next category, that is fixed cost. Now let us consider one more example here. Again, X represents the units and Y is the total cost. When a unit is producing 100 unit, the total cost is 1000. When unit is producing 2000 unit, the total cost is 1000. And when production unit is producing 3500 unit, total cost is 1000. When there is no production, the production is 0, total cost is 1000. So our basic observation at the first look we can understand here is that it is a kind of cost which remain fixed in totality, and it has no relation with the level of production. In our real example, we have observed that the variable cost has some relation with the level of production, exactly the same relation, but here it has no relation with the level of production. Now some people have defined the concept of fixed cost in their mind is that it is a kind of cost which remains fixed for forever. No, it may change because of the government rule change, the landowner might change its rules and regulations for paying the rent, etc. Many other factors we need to take into consideration. But fixed cost will never ever change due to change in the level of production. It has no relation with the level of production. That we need to remember in our mind. So it is a kind of cost which remains fixed in totality, irrespective of change in the level of production. This is one of the basic features of variable cost. Now let us move to our main area of discussion, that is our business part, marginal cost. Now marginal cost is a very simple cost. I think many of you have learned this when we are learning economics in a class 11 12, maybe in school level also. So let us again consider one example. Here units represents 100 and 101, and total cost is 10,000 and 10,050. What exactly it says? When we are producing 100 units, the total cost is 10,000. When we are producing 101 units, the total cost stands at rupees 10,050 only. Okay, now if we make a very simple analysis, how much change in terms of units has come when the production level increases from 100 to 101 units? The change in terms of unit has come is only 1, and the total cost, in terms of total cost, the change that has occurred is rupees 50 only. Now what exactly is this change in cost? This change in cost due to change in the level of production is nothing but the marginal cost. Marginal cost in a very layman language is nothing but the extra cost that a manufacturing unit have to incur because of the change in the level of production. Now this change may be in terms of decline also, I mean cut down in the level of production also, maybe increase in the level of production also. Here it has increased, that's why I consider it as an 50 only. So what is marginal cost? If you have to define, marginal cost simply may be defined as in cost where change occurs in total cost due to change in one unit in the level of production. First we have to identify how much change has occurred in terms of production, then because of the change on production units, how much change in cost has occurred. That extra cost is nothing but the marginal cost. Now this is one of the concepts on which our entire chapter is dependent. Okay, so far what we have learned? So far we have learned variable cost, fixed cost and marginal cost. Now let us understand one more basic concept. I will not say a concept, a basic understanding. Many of us are very confused about this thing. Now many of times this question has been asked to us whether marginal cost and variable cost are same. Now if we forgot the definition of marginal cost and variable cost, what exactly a variable cost? Variable cost we have learned that is a kind of cost which remained fixed in terms of per unit, and it has direct relation with the level of production. And what we have learned in marginal cost is a cost which represents change in total cost due to change in the level of production. So its definition of this to an extent create a kind of similarity, but whether these are really similar, let us consider one more example. Let us assume that one picnic has been organized for a college trip or for an university trip where the bus fare standard rupees 6,000. Now this 6,000 needs to be covered up. So it has been decided that per student contribution will be 200. Now if anyone asked here which one is variable cost and which one is fixed cost, very simple. Bus fare is fixed. Even if only one student goes, we have to pay the bus fare of 6,000. No one goes, we have to pay 6,000. What is variable cost? Variable cost is 200. That is the contribution that we are receiving from per student. Now one thing we have to keep in our mind is that the bus capacity is 40 only. Why? We will understand when we move on to the next part. Okay. Now in first instance, let us consider that 13 students will come up and they gave the contribution. So 39 student multiplied by 200 comes as 7,800, which is variable cost, and 6,000 is a fixed cost. So variable plus fixed cost is our total cost, which is 13,800. Do we have the capacity to consider one more student? Yes. So let us consider one more student. When 40 students turn up, the total contribution is 8,000, fixed cost is 6, the total cost 100 rupees, 14,000. Now if we make our marginal cost analysis here, now how much change in terms of students have come up when we jump from 39 to 40 students? One, very simple. How much change has come up in terms of the total cost when we jump from 39 to 40 students? The change in total cost has come up is 200. So can we say in that case the variable cost and marginal cost are same? This 200 is nothing but our marginal cost. In that case we can say the marginal cost and our variable cost both are same. Now this might happen many of times that you decided one trip and suddenly one more student come up and say I am also interested, but we have considered one limiting factor is that the capacity of the bus is 40 only. So where we can accommodate this additional student. Now many of time when I give this example, many of my students say we will accommodate it in the dicky or in the front or at the top or at the as in conductor we will consider one more chair. No, these are the things are not available. So we have to assume a factor that all the seats are occupied, student have to occupy and sit and go for the trip. Now what is the best option available? So are we clever enough to book one more bus for one student? No, we are not going to do this. This will be one of the dumb idea that we are going to apply. So what is the best option? Best option here in that case is we can book a cab. We can hire a cab for the whole day and we can ask the cab driver that you will carry one student or few students with us with the bus along so that he or she can enjoy the trip. So let us consider this example that 41 students turn up. So if 41 students turn up, the total contribution will obviously will increase 8,200. 6,000 is the bus fare. Oh, now what is this 1,600? This 1,600 is the cab fare for the entire day that we have to pay. So in that case, our total cost stands at rupees 15,800. Now if we again analyze in terms of marginal cost, the technique that we have learned, the change in student in terms of total number of student is 140 to 41. How much the change has come in terms of total cost? When total cost increases from 14,000 to 15,800, the change in total cost is 1,800. This 1,800 is our marginal cost, and here the variable cost is 200. So in that case, we can say the marginal cost and variable cost are not same. So in earlier case we found the marginal cost and variable cost both are same when the total cost was 13,800 and it is 14,000. The difference is 200. This is my marginal cost, and when I compared with my variable cost which is 200, I found marginal cost and variable cost are same. But in the next case when total cost increases from 14,000 to 15,800, the total cost is 1,800 and it is not equal with this 200. So in that case we will say it is not equal. Marginal cost and variable cost are not same. Now let us consider one more student. Can we consider one more student? Yes, because we have the capacity here. We have a cab with us, so a cab basically consider except the driver 3 students. So one has already occupied 2 seats are left. Let us consider one more student. So if one more student come up, the total contribution stands at rupees 8,400. 6,000 is the bus fare. Obviously the bus is going with us, and the cab fare is 1,600. The total cost stands at rupees 16,000. Now in that case, if we consider our marginal cost analysis again, we will see the changes in terms of student is 41 to 40. How much changes occur in terms of the total cost? We can see surprisingly the total cost is 200. Now what has happened? Again we can say the total cost, which is nothing but our marginal cost, change in total cost is which is nothing but our marginal cost is equal to variable cost. Now can we give the answer of the question that we have asked at the beginning of this discussion, whether marginal cost and variable cost are same? So if anyone asks you whether marginal cost and variable cost are same, you simply say sometime it is same, sometime it is not. If they say how it is possible, give them this example. So basically the true answer is variable cost and marginal cost, sometime it is same, sometime it is not. It mainly depends upon the situation that we are doing. I hope you have understood this concept of marginal variable cost. Let us consider the assumptions of marginal costing. Without considering the assumption, it will be difficult to going through and learning the formulas and other concepts here. So marginal costing assumptions are many. I have considered some of the very important one. First thing is that we will always have to remember that the same price in terms of per unit always remain fixed in marginal cost. Second, that we have already learned variable cost per unit always remain fixed. Remember, the term here is per unit is always remain fixed. Selling price also per unit always remain fixed. Third one is the fixed cost. Fixed cost always remain fixed in totality. Now, fixed cost has no relation with the level of production. Now, we have to remember these three important assumptions when we will learn some of the other concepts when we move on to the next part of the chapter. Even if the earth will come, we have to remember that there will be no single penny change will occur here in these three concepts. Now, why do we learn marginal costing? Marginal costing is basically learned for the purpose of taking decision, and how decision will be taken, that we will learn in the later part of this chapter. Thank you everyone for your patience listening. I will come up with the next topic or with the discussion of various technical factors in my next one. Thank you for your patient listening.